What's up, everybody? This is Tim Hart, branch manager of VanDyk Mortgage. Welcome to an episode of the HartBeat Show podcast. I've got an author, an attorney from Fort Myers here. John Mills is with us today. John, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And you guys out there, look John up. All right, he's a local author here, right?
I am.
Yeah. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the books he's written. Can't even talk. The books that he's written, and then also, you're an attorney and you're born and raised here, so we're going to get into details on this stuff, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, cool. So, John, first, let's go back to your history here.
Okay.
I think you're how many generations deep in Fort Myers?
On my mom's side, 5 generations.
5 generations.
Yeah. As a kid growing up, my grandfather was tax collector, Dawson McDaniels. My middle name's after him. And my dad was on the school board, Bill Mills, and my uncle was Frank Daniels on the city council, and they were all on the same time. So as a teenager growing up, sitting around the dinner table for family functions, I had a lot of local politics.
I bet.
Yeah.
A lot of fire at Thanksgiving or what?
Before Facebook, we sat around the dinner table and talked about things.
Oh, you actually talked?
We actually talked. It was unusual. It doesn't happen too much.
Very unique.
Yeah.
Funny.
So yeah, I love the area and grown up here. I graduated in Riverdale in 82.
82, okay.
And
Go Raiders, right?
Go Raiders. And one of 4 high schools that year that was around. Things have grown. And 1979 is when I-75 opened up. But while it was being built in the 70s, I was in middle school, and like most kids my age, I skateboarded. So I skateboarded down I-75 before it was open to the public. And
really?
I was the king of the world till I got halfway down and hit the rock, and then I rolled the rest of the way down. I still got some scrapes on my knee from that one.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah. It's fun to see I skateboarded down I-75.
Do you say it to everyone every time you drive over that spot? I would.
I do. Most people have heard it before. Just roll their eyes whenever I just point to 75. So
yeah,
I've learned to stop.
Yeah, John, we know.
We know.
We know. So with you growing up here, I'm curious because you're a lawyer and an author.
Right.
So and a fisherman, right?
You got to get priorities right. I work so I can fish.
Yeah, there you go. Work so you can fish. So with growing up here, though, did you always want to be an attorney or author, or did you, when did those two come into play?
Well, the attorney thing was pretty easy. My dad was a paralegal, and I didn't know what lawyers did, but they had big houses, nice boats, and pretty wives. I'm like, I want to do that. So that's how I became an attorney.
Easy sell.
Easy sell. Writing's a little different. I was always a big reader growing up. I never really thought about writing. But then I remember reading Randy White's books, and they were set here locally, and that was such a neat feeling. Like, I've been there. I know where he's talking about.
Right, yeah.
So I got that idea, and then I got married for the first time in '94, and my ex-wife is from a little town just south of Memphis, Hernando, Mississippi. And if you may or may not know this about John Grisham, but he self-published his first 2 books.
I didn't know that.
A Time to Kill and The Pelican Brief, and then The Firm was his big one. Well, A Time to Kill was set in Hernando, Mississippi, and he was a lawyer there, and it was based on actual events that happened. So when we went there to get married, he had to go to the little courthouse to get your wedding license, and you walk in. It's about the size of LaBelle, and you walk in there, Hernando County Bar Association. There's John Grisham, picture of 1 of 10 people, and I'm like, he doesn't look that special. If he can do it, I can do it. So the little trivia about Hernando, that's where the events for A Time to Kill were filmed, and that was Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson and both Sutherlands, father and son. And
that's right. Keith was the KKK guy. Yeah. Okay. Right. Love that movie.
So it was based on actual events that happened in Hernando. So they actually just that year had been filming it, and the real bad guy's family burnt the movie set down twice. So half the movie of A Time to Kill was filmed in Hernando, and the rest was down an hour south in Jackson where they finished filming.
So that whole thing was a true story?
It's based on actual events there in Hernando. So all that was just happening, and I see Grisham and I guess my cockiness. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
So my books are kind of they're all set here locally on the Barrier Islands, and but they have the legal bend to it.
Yeah.
So those are my two favorite authors. So I try to emulate them, if you will.
Yeah, with Randy, that's the first thing I thought of when I was checking all your stuff out.
Right.
Sanibel Flats, right? That was one of
his first one.
That was the first one. What was the second one? Was
Captiva, I think, and then Man That Invented Florida.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and so like as soon as I started reading your stuff, that's the first thing I thought of, and so that's really cool. So you're adding in the legal flavor to it as well, right?
Yeah, and my first three books, my main character was a Lee County Sheriff's detective. And then my fourth book, Sworn Jury, that was a murder mystery at the Edison home, and that was a little different. My main character was a criminal defense attorney, and I was doing a lot of criminal defense at the time, so everybody raised their eyebrows. So I made the main character exactly opposite of me. Tall, thin, dark-haired, compassionate, and still in love with his ex-wife. So,
you had to hit the last part, didn't you?
Hit that.
Still in love with his ex-wife.
So then I switched back after that, and I had new characters. Female divorce attorney, Beth Mancini, and she's been dating a male prosecutor. So my last four books, The Trophy Wife Divorce, The Hooker, Dancer and The Nun, Pineland Gold, and Kay Acosta Cross, they all have those four characters in, but that's more of a legal bend to it. The first three was more of a murder mystery. So I've tied in all the books because they're all set in Pine Island Sound Mystery except Sworn Jury. That was at the Edison home, but all of them are set. So, but then the last two books, I brought the main character back, Doug Shear, as a private investigator. So I've kind of tied in
the old sheriff guy.
The old sheriff's detective is now a private investigator in Pineland Gold and Kay Acosta Cross. So he's probably my favorite character because he's evolved over the years.
Okay.
He had some problems when he was at the sheriff's office, so he had to leave. So he's now a private investigator.
All right.
So
you get into the problems in the book?
Oh, of course, of course, and he's an interesting character. He doesn't always play by the rules.
All right.
But he gets things done.
So with this, because it's local, I'm curious. Are there, I guess, real stories? I mean, are any of these things in your books based on real life events that happened? That you can mention?
Yes. I mean, people say, where do you get the ideas for your book? I'm like, I go to work every day. The courthouse has some of the best stories out there. Right. Things that happen there in the courthouse, we look around the bailiffs, the clerks, we look at each other like, if we told people this happened, no one would believe it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you get some great stories just going to the courthouse and hearing and listening to cases. And then fishing tournaments, that's always a fertile ground for good stories.
Yeah, especially when they start drinking.
And then happy hour, every good story is worth telling better. That's the beauty of happy hours.
Right.
So those are sort of some of the inspirations I've had. I'll give you an example. Doug Shear, my first character, the first book came out in 00. Two of my big mentors were John Shear, who's a retired lawyer and judge, and Doug Wilson. He's was a policeman and then a court administrator, and he passed a while back, but I've combined their names. Doug Shear, because they were two of my biggest mentors.
Shout out to them, huh?
Shout out to them. And the last book, Kay Acosta Cross, I'll give you the example.
This is your newest book?
This is my newest book, came out in November.
Okay.
And it's based on it's kind of interesting. It's the only one of my books that has a scene set back in the past. So it starts out the prologue in 1910 on Kay Acosta. And you may or may not know about the history of quarantine docks in the history of the United States. But before all the vaccines and all the fancy medicines were invented, a disease such as yellow fever and tuberculosis could wipe out a port. So they made you sit at quarantine for 2 weeks before you entered the port. And if you tried to enter, they'd kill you. And if you were sick and you tried to escape, they'd shoot you and they'd burn the boat. So you had to sit there, and if you made it through quarantine, they let you get aboard. So the port of Boca Grande was a very busy port for phosphate and farming. It was a naturally deep port, so a lot of cattle were coming down, the phosphates and all assorted agriculture would come there. Well, across Boca Grande Pass was the quarantine dock for the port of Boca Grande. It was a Cayo Costa. It was on the very north end of Cayo Costa, and they had a dock there and a general store and a post office. And you had to stay at anchor for 2 weeks. The doctor would come out and check you, and after 2 weeks you got your bill of health and you could go in. So the book starts in 1910 at a quarantine dock, and my character was trying to get money to pay for his daughter's treatment because she was dying of tuberculosis. So he went down to Key West and stole a stolen cross from a bad guy, and was coming back to sell it to pay for her treatment, but he's stuck at quarantine. And then the bad guy's boat showed up, so he had to hide this gold cross and sent a letter to his wife in case he didn't make it. And that's the end of the prologue. And you find out later it was never found, and different generations have tried to find it. So that now modern day couple are getting divorced, and they're fighting over this letter where the treasure is buried. That's the main part of the book. The subplot, and one that entertains me, is a sitting judge, Judge J.B. Raceman, was accused of a sex crime, and he hires local attorney Dave Bernard to defend him, and that's sort of a subplot. Some people have observed that's very similar to actual people here in town. Judge J.B. Rossman, that had a sex crime and resigned, and then attorney David Brenner, that had problems and has been disbarred. So it's very similar names. It's just purely coincidental, but some people find that amusing.
All right. It was coincidental?
Just purely coincidental.
Okay, I bet. So this book right here, are these the type of books though that, like, if you didn't read, so I know you have like the three that have the sheriff detective in there.
Right.
Can someone just grab this and not really miss a beat?
Oh yeah. They're standalone. If you've read some of the others, there's little nuggets in there that talks about the history in some of the other books, but they're all standalone novels. You don't have to have read the others.
And what are some so you got a lot of them here, so like what are your top 2 or 3 ones that people have seemed to really like?
Well, the Trophy Wife Divorce was a favorite, and that was about nasty divorce involving a trophy wife and her older husband, and they were both equally despicable, and they were trying to get a prenup set aside, and bad things happen. So there's a big trial about the bad things that happen, and they're both equally despicable people, so you don't know which one to root for until the very end.
Okay.
And I have discovered that people love divorce stories as long as it's not their own. So I had a lot of fun with that one. And then my favorite's The Hooker, the Dancer, and the Nun. And that's about social media being used against you in litigation. So,
oof.
Yeah. So The Hooker, Dancer, and the Nun has about 3 40-year-old ladies that are all recently divorced. Well, they all went to the University of Florida, and their college nicknames were The Hooker, the Dancer, and the Nun. The hooker liked to go fishing and hook the big fish. The dancer liked to go to clubs, and the nun was a virgin during school. Well, things have changed over the years, and they had bad habits of dating the same men and brothers and cousins and uncles, and so they were all frenemies. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And they expressed all these sentiments on social media, Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. But during a friendship phase, they decided to celebrate their 40th birthday and rented a houseboat at Four Winds Marina to go out to Cabbage Key because there was a fishing tournament, a lot of eligible guys, so they wanted to go play with the fishermen and then drink a little bit. So that happened, and at midnight they opened up a bottle of tequila, and the next morning one's missing, one's dead, one's charged with murder. Here's the hook. the prosecutor subpoenas a year's worth of deleted Facebook messages and text and all those stupid things that you say, and then when you're drunk and you delete, it's still out there. So they used all those things as motive for murder. So when I say that, I just see people's faces drop, and they're like, you're telling me if it's deleted, they can find it? Like, oh, it's out there. If there's enough time and money, they can find all those things that you said.
Yeah.
And blown up on a 10-foot by 10-foot screen in a murder trial, it looks really bad.
I bet.
About how you wanted to kill people and cut them up in little pieces, and that actually happened, you know.
Oh, yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Coincidence. Yeah.
Right.
I'm curious, this is off topic a little bit, but like, you know, my oldest is going to be 13.
Right.
Here in a few months. He doesn't do social media. We don't allow it. Right. But like, how plenty of kids, 8, 9, you know, have social media, right? And so, agree or not, don't want to get into that. But like, how far back are these lawyers, and even if like these kids decide they're going to run for office, right? Like they're their 30s and they're, you know, it's 20, 30 years down the road and they're going to run for, like, how far back are people going to go and dig up their old tweets or their old Instagram posts, or like, what do you what's the lawyer cap say for the future on that?
My opinion is it's going to be a whole different world. 30 years from now, men and women in their 50s and 60s and running for a higher office. And, you know, now we have the, what's the thing, the black faces that have showed up.
Yeah, like the governor of Virginia.
In yearbooks and scrapbooks. You know, now we have yearbooks and scrapbooks. 20, 30 years from now, there's going to be a library of everything.
Yeah. That's like one random book that someone had in their garage.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a Facebook post. I mean, it's all the... Number one, the embarrassing pictures. Number two, the bad jokes, distasteful jokes you wrote. And number three, the rants. The nude pictures. I guess I could sugarcoat it, but why sugarcoat it?
Scantily clad.
The nude pictures, scantily clad.
Oh, even like the way they text things.
And some people know. Some people know about them. Some people don't. I mean, but you know, there's all kinds of websites out there. MyExGirlfriend.com, MyExBoyfriend.com, and people are download stuff.
Yeah. And
then, of course, you know how it is to copy and paste any pictures. So that's a really long answer to your question. What does I predict? I predict it's going to be I don't know why anyone was going to run for public office with all this stuff.
I was going to say, you're going to have to be a ghost to be able to run.
Yeah. I mean, it's
or just no one will care anymore, and everyone will be sick of it too.
And that might be part of it too. But it's going to be an amazing event with all the different things. I mean, every night we turn on the news and we see tweets, text, pictures, and you know, people think they're being smart, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And that was sort of the inspiration for the hooker Dancer and The Nun, is some of the cases I had with Snapchat and Facebook and people trying to deny things that were there, and it's a whole different world about things that come up like that.
What's the future for you have in store with your book series? What's your plan? What do you hope happens?
Well, I'm self-published. I have a local readership. They're available on Amazon and paperback and Kindle, and so people can order them anywhere. But most of my readership is here.
Would you rather order from your website or just straight through Amazon?
My website has the link to Amazon, so it goes to Amazon.
Okay.
But I would love to have somebody in the movie business come down here, read my books, and say, "Oh, this will make a great movie." Because so much of Florida is portrayed in Miami or Tampa or, you know, Disney World. I think we have such a unique area down here. I think it'd make a great movie background.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what that would be my fantasy, if you will.
A movie.
A movie, and of course, more people read the books. But I've also, like yourself with your podcast, you promote your business. You know, I promote my law firm in my books, and I've had people hire me and say, I heard you're a good lawyer, then I read your book, and if you can get that guy off, I want to hire you.
Right.
So I have fun with that, and we were also talking about Formula Camera. I love to fish, and I fish a lot of tournaments. So you probably saw my website, the boat wrap I have.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Pine Island Sound Mysteries. I just got that in November. Before that, for 7 years, my boat wrap was the Trophy Wife Divorce, and of course that always made people smile. And I had my link to my website, so it was sort of low key advertising for the website.
Yeah.
So I've combined my books, even if they aren't a bestseller, aren't made into a movie. You know, I have a local readership. Number one. Number two, it helps advertise my law practice. And number three, when I go to the tournaments, it's advertising for the practice. So
yeah,
I have fun with it. Plus, I get to kill people and not go to prison. That is a lot of fun.
Big plus.
I have to admit, that is a lot of fun in my books. I get to kill people and not go to prison. And people I like do well in my book. People that I don't like, some similar names, such as, you know, him Tart. You know, I might have a character.
I set him up for this already.
You know, I'm trying to figure out exactly, you know, if you're gonna.
I got it. He's very tall, handsome. Right. The ladies love him.
Well, my books are fiction.
Popular.
My books are fiction, so I can work you out.
Thank you. Yeah, really embellish it. Really fast. He's a good athlete.
Yeah. So I do that.
He's a good boss.
So yeah, I do.
Him Tart. I'm gonna hold you. You're on camera now with Him Tart.
All right, you're there. I'll make you well here. But yeah, I have fun with them, and my first one came out in 00, so 20 years I've been doing it. So
cool.
I like to say it's a profitable hobby. One day I would love to write full time and practice law part time, but right now it's just the opposite. I practice law full time and write part time.
Last question. You got any advice for any future authors out there that may be watching this? I
have learned a lot since I started writing. The hardest part is to get what's up here onto paper. So I went to a lot of seminars and listened to other authors talk about it. And the best advice I've gotten, and each book I've written, I've learned from them, but always get more and more editors. The first couple books, maybe I'd have 4 or 5. Now I'm up to having 20 editors per book. And I get young, old, rich, poor, different races. I try, the more diverse people, the better product, because when you're thinking about something, it doesn't always show up on paper. And of course, people have different experiences from where they come from and what they do, and they focus on different things. So my advice to a younger writer is go to as many seminars and read about writing and try to learn the craft, number one, and number two, hire more and diverse editors to help make the final product more polished.
Gotcha. Good advice. Well, I appreciate it. This was awesome. I want to again remind people where they can find all of your books, and if you don't mind telling everyone about your website and where else they can buy these books if they want to support them.
JDMlaw.com is my law firm website. My book website is PineIslandSoundMysteries.com.
Okay.
And all that has a link to Amazon where they can purchase either paperback or Kindle version.
Okay. And what kind of law do you practice?
I do family law and criminal. If you come to my office, you've had a bad day.
All right. Family and criminal. So, guys, this has been John Mills, local author. You don't see many of them out there, so make sure you go support his website. Check out his book. You know, if you're a fan of Randy White, give it a shot. John Grisham, give it a shot.
Yeah.
And, John, I appreciate it, man. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
You guys also, don't forget, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, especially if you know John. Hook him up, man. Share the video so other people can see him. Get to know about his business and his books and all that fun stuff. So, guys, take care.
Thanks.
Enjoy it. Thanks.
All right. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
All right.